We're Batman at 89. Hello and welcome to Batminute 89, the podcast where we analyse Tim Burton's 1989 Batman 1 minute at a time. I am your illustrious host, John Parker.
Ooh, illustrious.
Well, I've got to spice it up a bit.
I am the not-so-illustrious Niall McGowan.
Oh, you're selling yourself short a bit. The other guy, the backup.
Yeah, I'm a guy. I'm just one guy. What do you want from me?
Yeah, we're going to get rid of him for some other people later on, don't worry. It's No, we're here for the duration. And this is minute 17 of Batman. Minute 17 starts with Grissom smiling like a happy little boy, and ends with Alfred pestering our good friend Knox.
That sounded a bit sinister. The smiling like a little boy.
Well, yeah, maybe.
But this now begins the beginning. The machinations of the plot start to come into play now. That he sent our good friend Jack Napier out of the room, but there's something not to be trusted, as we mentioned last minute with the snake sound effect.
Oh yeah, you can still hear that in the start of this minute. That's still there, isn't it?
So and then he swaggers over to his desk and has these just talking to the empty room, as people do in films.
Well, I do that all the time, so I'm going to let him off. You know?
But and he has his my friend, your luck is about to change. But and then he makes a phone call to looking for Lieutenant Eckhardt.
Oh,
and I can't help. I really want to know how that conversation sounds. So to just be like, Lieutenant Eckhardt, my good friend Jack is going to be in Access Chemicals.
They were two good impressions. I couldn't interrupt. They were perfect.
But I think it could be a cut scene, and like the test audience were like, "This is too funny." Like the voices are too weird. It'd be like if Bane showed up now. It's just like, I understand that Jack Napier is going to. And people would just be like,
"Don't bring up Bane with me."
Hey, I'll defend the Bane voice.
When I was doing my research, I did not come across any cutscenes involving the two, sadly, in this part anyway.
But I will note that, because we did mention last time, we speculated on what the bust behind him is, and we get seeing it a bit more clearly now. But like it seems to be set up like they're showing this is like it's almost like a power shot where it's like this is the guy. And then the bust is behind him, almost making you know this is a bust of him. Because his hair, even the hair is combed the same direction.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It could be. I still can't quite.
Yeah, but beyond that, it's a very jowly. Like the neck's a bit too thick for Jack Palance.
That's what's throwing me off, because a lot of the features look like him. But things like that doesn't look. It could just be bad. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it could have been just like a last minute addition, just like, I'll throw in a bust behind it. But it looks a bit more like the script, like the look of that Carl Grissom is ostensibly is Rupert Thorne, and that this kind of looks a bit more what Rupert Thorne's supposed to look like. He's supposed to be a kind of a bit more overweight and just not the trim, lean figure that Jack Palance is.
Ooh, trim and lean. He'll be happy with that.
Oh, well, he would have been. He's long dead now. But
well, true. Yes. Ignoring the obvious problem with my statement.
So I don't know. Maybe like there was a thing of like in the early stages of production, they're like, get a bust of the guy who's going to be the gangster for his office, and they'll be casting a kind of a bit heavier a guy, because apparently like Rupert Thorne is based on the guy who played Archie Bunker. We ever saw. We didn't really get All in the Family over here, but I know Americans will know who.
I've heard of the character, but I've never really seen the show.
It's another one of those. I know him through references to him in The Simpsons, basically. So.
A lot of my American knowledge comes from things like that.
Yeah, pretty much. So much of my just day-to-day vocabulary was originally learned from like that's a word they used in The Simpsons one time.
And people are laughing. It must be funny for some reason. Yes.
But so maybe it's probably unlikely, but it could have been that they were working on a bust already, and they were assuming it was going to be a heavier gent, and then it's like, no, it's Jack Palance.
Yeah.
See if you can fix it somehow. So,
Or maybe this is a bust of his mentor, his boss, his original boss.
oh, well, maybe we could speculate then that maybe Grissom is a descendant from. Oh, like the next in line after Rupert Thorne, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
So maybe that is Thorne.
Yeah, could be. It's that. Well, in our canon, let's just make that official. That's a bust of Rupert Thorne.
Well, Bat Minute canon is the official canon now, isn't it? So, yeah.
We called up Tim, and we're like, Tim, got a few notes to make for next. If you ever do any more work with Batman, just know that we've fixed these things in the film for you. So. But then we got two kind of a jump contrast, or not contrast. What do you call it? Transition. Sorry, God.
I'm leaving that in.
Yeah, into into the next scene, and we have our first shot of stately Wayne Manor. From,
Yes,
or what we assume is stately Wayne Manor, a big swanky house. Anyway,
well, why do posh people? I've noticed this. Have gravel drives.
Is that a strictly posh thing? Because my dad has a gravel drive, and he's not like, we're very middle class. So
I think that's trying to look posh though, because every time you go to a fancy place like that, gravel everywhere. I went to Buckingham Palace, gravel everywhere. You'd think they could have go for something a bit fancier, but that seems to be their thing.
I don't know. It's a say because I grew up with gravel, so it's never. But
well, we're not all Irish and posh because you're well known for being rich folk over there.
It always makes me think the gravel in our driveway, because when I was a kid and used to be out playing with the Star Wars toys and stuff, and we used to always have to make carbonite for when people were frozen in carbonite. We'd always pick up handfuls of gravel and put it in water, and then put the toy in with it. that was the carbonite. So
hey, that's quite inventive.
Oh, we had to do something. And then we had that brief period of like trying to literally putting them toys in glasses of water and putting it in the freezer. And then parents coming and going, what the hell is this?
Well, with the Wayne Manor here as well, I thought the building, I mean, this is going to sound obvious, it looks very gothic.
Yeah.
But I mean that in the actual sense of the word. Like it looks like it was designed by Pugin, the architect, who did lots of churches in England. It's very similar, tall, pointed.
It's appropriate you say that, because when I looked up like what this place is, it's literally described as a Gothic Tudor, a Gothic Tudor mansion, and this is Nebworth House, which is 28 miles north of London, and that's the exterior shot, because the exterior and the interior are two different buildings. So
it always blows my mind when I find that out.
But I guess maybe we'll get to like what the other building is in a minute. But there must have been some discrepancy where they're like, nah, I mean, this place is nice on the outside, but inside it's a dump. So
yeah, it's terrible. Well, I loved. When I was looking up Wayne Manor as well, I liked on the wiki page for Batman. It felt like stressing location Milky Way, which
really,
yeah. Well, that was part of the location, Milky Way.
Okay, is this in like the comics, the comic lore as well, or what? Or?
Yeah, it was just covering the whole of Wayne Manor. So there was a few other interesting facts there, which you probably know because you're a big fan of the animated series. But in that, the address is 1007 Mountain Drive, which I'm sure you may have heard and forgotten promptly because it's irrelevant to everything and not even interesting.
I'm thinking the Milky Way thing, though, because if it's the comics, it might be like Batman's been out in space. So it might be a thing where like, we have to emphasize that he lives in the Milky Way. Okay, that's where his house is.
Yeah, they obviously felt the need to point that out.
But I mean, the people who make the wikis are just, God bless them, because they're dedicated to their craft, to their chosen.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, yeah, because we've been getting loads of material from them. So who are we to judge them? Who are we, the people analyzing a film 1 minute at a time? To be
Exactly.
like, these sad losers, and have to emphasize what galaxy it's in. But but before though we get this is another extreme Dutch angle. It's another kind of reminiscent of the '60s show, and then I think it struck me, maybe it wasn't intentional, but the next transition is we get a spinning roulette wheel, and it's blurred at first, and it comes into focus. But what that reminded me of was the in the old '60s show you'd have that like the bat logo zooming out and zooming back, but there was always a spinning kind of red and black and multiple colors spinning circle in the background. And I kept thinking that looks very like this. As I was wondering, I'm like, maybe that's another intentional little, it's a little nod. It's a little nod.
I think it might be, yeah. I hadn't considered that, I'll be honest, but yeah, I think you're onto something.
Yeah, it was an 11th hour, kind of like, I wonder why they're focusing on it. Why introduce it with a, no, they're introducing with a roulette wheel to show you this is what's happening inside Wayne Manor. But it also struck me as like, it seems like a very deliberate sort of.
Yeah. Well, as you said as well, there's the roulette wheel, but you see lots of gambling going around in general here.
Yeah.
And there's a very cool song playing in the background.
Oh, I've got notes on the song, but I was going to leave it to the next minutes. So I think it's a bit more. I've got more appropriate things to say about it then.
Oh yeah, okay. We'll save it then. We'll save it. Just keep that in mind. It's a good song. It's funky.
I'm sure people listening to this will know who it is, but like, of course, it's funky.
Well, and we're the masters of funk, as you know, so we're bringing the party. Well, then as well as you see a woman holding a basket saying "Save the festival." So we now know what this is in aid of. It's the aforementioned fundraiser.
Yeah, this is to get the hot dogs and balloons for the mayor's planned parade.
These hot dogs must be expensive. Jeez.
That's the thing he's going for, he's going in for the pork and apple, all the swanky stuff, the real the venison, all of this gonna get himself a nice veal hot dog. Farmers market kind of meat.
Oh,
that's what
pushing
he's going
the boat out.
Yeah.
I noticed the basket as well. I thought the basket for the money was far too small, because if these are like the rich and elite of the city, that thing's going to be full in about 20 minutes. It's a tiny little thing.
The whole thing as well struck me is that it seems to be a deliberate bit of they've got a very attractive young woman. It's kind of a bit of it's a bit of eye candy. The pry the money out of which is a bit now it's that's really kind of sexist. But at the same time, it's it's up there again with the Simpsons. You can almost imagine them being like, "Do you come with the parade? Oh, you." That kind of. They're just it's a spokesmodel almost for you gotta. People be enticed to come over to her and be like, "Oh, I'll give you a little bit of money as well." And
well,
it's not nice, but that's the way these things work sometimes. So
it'll work, and it's already set up as a bit of a dark, sleazy city. So yeah.
Oh yeah, of course,
exploit that.
That's the thing. We'll get into the what's actually happening here, because this seems to be it's a full on. It's basically like a casino. They've converted Wayne Manor into a casino.
Oh yeah,
and it struck me as been quite strange in that it's gambling and debauchery in Batman's own house. It seemed really off character. But then I looked into it, and it seems that we've established that Wayne Manor or Gotham City is supposed to be in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And apparently in New Jersey, New Jersey as a city has some of the most lenient gambling laws in the US, apparently. So.
Ah, right, okay. Because it always does confuse me a little when you watch American TV and movies, and there's a big thing about against gambling, which you don't really have over here. Nobody really cares.
Oh yeah, here it's just there's this betting shops every 5 feet down the street. So
I live 5 feet away from one. So,
yeah, I think literally on the way to your house, there's at least 2. So
yeah, at least.
I remember when I was a kid, there was one down in our the town center, and I always remember it was weird because my French teacher was always in there. And it was just weird when you're a kid and you're supposed to be seeing what's supposed to be a respectable adult, but he was always just hanging around the betting shop trying to And again, Simpsons side, the guy was nicknamed Ned Flanders because he looked exactly like Ned Flanders. He had the tash, the hair, the glasses, and I think he did it deliberately. He used to wear a green jumper with a pink shirt, and you're asking for it. You must know that it's happening now.
I'm surprised I've never worn that as a joke. I'm going to make that my mission for the next few weeks.
It's a very distinct look though, because it's such a color clash that it's like.
Oh yeah.
Who do you think of? Like, yeah, it's Flanders. That's what that is. But,
well, about the minute.
Oh yeah.
So something I did find interesting was in the original script, they are raising money not for the festival. They're raising it for Harvey Dent's campaign fund.
Yeah, which is a much more noble cause. To be fair,
it is. But they probably thought as well, maybe for the audience it'd be a bit more difficult to connect with that, like. A politician's campaign fund. It doesn't seem as he's rich.
A lot of it too is very much just like setting up like this parade's gonna be important later. Just like keep the parade in mind. It's like it's gonna be a big deal. But
considering that is probably true, for most of this movie, I forget that there's going to be a parade. I'll be honest.
But I have to say that. So we, but what strikes me though is quite strange in that. Like, people are going over, they're putting money into the basket for the parade.
Yeah.
Presumably this whole thing is, these people, their elite are coming and they're gambling. But are their winnings going towards the parade as well? Is it just like, whatever you win, that money goes into the parade fund? Or is it just like, give a little bit, give like $20 and then just go and gamble and then you win. Whatever you win, you keep. Like the whole
Maybe
thing
they take a cut.
It seems a bit like just weird to be like, oh, they're gambling with money, but no one's going to get anything. Like, you're putting that money and then you get the joy of winning it, but it all goes back to the parade. So
yeah, I think it's that. I think it's more like a charity thing to just having a laugh.
Yeah. But it just seems a bit odd. Could it be so into gambling? I guess maybe if you just like the thrill of the win, that might be fine. But it struck me as odd. It's just been like, oh, well, no matter what you do, you're going to end up losing the money anyway. So,
yes, you might as well have fun doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a way to think of.
Go for it, yeah. Well, then we see Alfred Thaddeus Crane Pennyworth swanning around. That's a lovely name. He's a poor. I feel bad for him, the poor guy, because he's too old for this.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. Like I think we mentioned that like earlier, like the first episode was like he's obviously in his 70s. Like come on, let him go.
Put your feet up.
Yeah, could just be though. It's just like he knows Bruce Wayne's secret. It's just like, we know that this version of Batman, he doesn't mind killing people. So it could be like, well, you can go, old man, but I can't guarantee your safety.
Maybe he's trapped him because he should be with his pipe and slippers. Buttling is a young man's game, I would say. Apparently not.
But yeah, he's making his way down. We should mention as well, actually. Now we've gone inside because, as we mentioned earlier, the interior is a different building to the exterior.
Yes.
So interior is Hatfield House in Hertfordshire, and this is the Long Gallery, which I thought was a kind of a slight misstep in that it usually you see these big soiree scenes like all in other Batman films is like the one in I think it's a big party scene in every one of them pretty much.
Yeah, with the infamous Batman credit card later in one of them.
Oh yeah. And usually in big, wide, open rooms. But this seems to be like in like a corridor. Like it's a swanky corridor, but it's quite narrow. It's a bit like you could have spaced it out a bit better. But everyone seems very jammed in. It's just like, we can only fit them in this little corridor. So it seems like an odd choice to me, basically. Maybe it could have been like they showed up there and then like the people who own the estate were like, oh, we're not going to let you into the ballroom. You're going to have to go somewhere else. So
you can have the servants' quarters for your movie.
Yeah, pretty much. But as you say, we see Alfred making his way, having to push his way through all these bloody people as well, with a precarious tray holding 2 drinks.
Yeah, 2. It's not really the best way of delivering these. He's going to have to make 50 trips, is what I'm trying to say. Unless he had a tray full, and this is the end of that.
Oh, could be. That could be what happened. But
his arms are too weak to hold up more than two. Is probably what.
But yeah, so we see him making his way through, and he has a nice little doily on the tray as well to show him he's extra fancy. And he comes up to the unfanciest of men. Alexander Knox is sort of schlepping his way through the party and just sort of hanging about in the corner, just like
yeah,
sticking out like a sore thumb. This guy. I did note as well. I'm not too sure if it was an intentional thing, or maybe I'm just reading way too much into it. But I did note that it seems to be a black tie affair, and everyone's in the tuxes with black ties, and Knox wearing a red bow tie, which is some of the servants are in red bow ties. So it's like,
okay,
it's a social faux pas, because I see some of the women at the roulette wheels who are like spinning it and stuff. They're wearing a red bow tie, so it's kind of like he's inadvertently showed up dressed as like the help, basically.
That is perfect for him. That is the best, and again, deliberate. There's no way it's not.
Yeah.
Well, I made the mistake of going to see a movie in a full suit and tie, a red tie, and when I went to the bathroom, I was stopped by some kids on the way, and they're like, "Excuse me, do you work here?" No, sorry.
Was there any reason why you were wearing the suit, or was it just like, it's a suit? It's
I
a
just
suit
like
kind of
it. It's just nice. It's good.
Do you remember what film it was? Was it Suit?
Well, no.
Worthy?
It was Alien Covenant.
Oh, that's really recent. That's just like, it's last week.
Well, that'll date the show.
Well, man, it was. If it had been like, it was like the last action hero, it would have been like, that's dated already. But that's pretty much in terms of the action for this minute. Unless have you got anything else you want to comment on?
Well, only one thing, which I mean, I was going to save it for next minute, but we've got a bit of time here. I'll put it in.
Oh yeah.
Because in the next minute, they not to spoil it, they quickly separate. But in the original script, they've got a little exchange here. So Knox starts their little exchange. He looks up to the ceiling and says, "How high up would you say that is?"
And then Alfred says, "I'd say about 30 feet, sir."
Then Knox comes back with, if you cut your bathroom in half, you'd have my apartment.
Which bathroom is that, sir?
The small one. I just thought that was a good little exchange, and then he walks off. It says a lot about the house. Which bathroom is it? How many bloody bathrooms has this place got?
I think it says a lot to it's actually kind of like it's like a nicer exchange than the one we actually get in the film.
Yes,
because it's I don't know if we want to save that for next minute or.
Oh, we'll save that. Yeah, this is the tease for next minute, because this is not what you're gonna get.
Yeah, but they seem to be just like, it's a very polite little like, the Alfred just sort of gives them there's a little back and forth, and there's a bit of respect there, and it's all well and good, and it's fair
and it says a bit about Knox again, much like his attire that you said, that the small bathroom cut in half is Knox's apartment.
To be fair, probably still bigger than my apartment, but beyond that, I've got a few notes just on not all of Alfred, because it'll take ages to go through the whole backstory of Alfred Pennyworth.
Yeah, I started making notes on it, and I was like, you know what? No, there's about 50 different versions of Alfred.
Yeah, but I did just go through a couple of things. I thought it was like because this is the introduction of the version we know, played by Michael Goff. I looked it up. Apparently, he says his name is pronounced like cough, so it's Michael Goff.
Goff. Okay.
Yeah. I was going to say Alfred Goff, but it's like Michael Goff. This version obviously lasts for 4 films, but Alfred has been betrayed by various other people in the past, and
lots of good actors as well in the future.
Oh yeah. The most notable one before this was the one from the 1960 show, who was called a personal friend of Michael Goff. Getting used to that now. But his name was Alan Napier, which is obviously now it's got there's obviously a little nod in Jack Napier as well, because we covered it's a variation on Jackanape, but it also works as it's a little nod to the the guy from the '60s show as well. So
Yeah, everything is connected. We are living in the world of Dirk Gently. So.
Other people who played Alfred of note are, of course, Michael Caine.
Yay.
With an excellent job of it in the Nolan verse. Got to do a very emotional third. Usually it was always comic relief, but then he got to do like a big emotional thing in the Dark Knight Rises of the whole like I won't lose you, Master Wayne, and all of that.
That was probably my favorite bit of the movie.
That film is like I'll defend the Dark Knight Rises, but like that is a pinnacle in it. And then the fact that Alfred disappears for so long of the film, it's just like, why couldn't you have cut to him somewhere else? Why couldn't you have why is he so absent? Like he's not even lifted a finger to do anything. So I know he says I'm washing my hands in that scene. He's like, I'm washing my hands of you, but he wouldn't do that. Like it just But anyway, beyond that, also play in the animated series. He was initially voiced by Clive Revell, who was the guy who did the original voice of Palpatine in The Empire Strikes Back before obviously Ian McDiarmid was cast, and then in subsequent releases, like now it's Ian McDiarmid that put him in the film. But originally,
I do have problems with that. Although the Clive Revell's fine, but I also don't like the new version. Like, let me start again.
It's that weird thing of like they can't get the look right of these things. They can never get Jabba the Hutt to look right.
No.
And then in Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine doesn't look like he looks in Return of the Jedi. And it was fair enough because it's like, oh, well, it's years before.
Exactly, yeah.
But then he looks like Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith in The Empire Strikes Back. And it's very jarring.
It's weird. And I don't think you should see his face. Like, I know George is like, well, you should watch them from episode 1 onwards. Nobody's doing that.
No. But it's again too because they not to get too far into it, but obviously the effect of him originally was that it was like the chimpanzee's eyes over the woman's face and all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
that doesn't work either. That's the problem.
Oh no, I like that. I thought that made him look really creepy, but again, it doesn't work when you see him in the next film because it's like, well, he doesn't look like that. But
well, exactly, yeah. Oh, gee. So anyway, Clive.
Yeah, Clive Revell, and then the role was then taken over by Ephraim Zimbalist, who is an actor of some stripe, who was the father to Stephanie Zimbalist, who is in Remington Steele, I think was her thing.
Oh, okay. That's where I've heard the name. Okay.
And then Ephraim Zimbalist was in loads of things. He was Dandy Jim Buckley in Maverick. He was in Sugarfoot. That always makes me think of Arrested Development now. I'm just like, can you sing the theme to Sugarfoot with me? Sugarfoot. Michael is like, Sugarfoot.
I really was hoping that the podcast would turn into a musical episode just now.
But and then he did the voice of Dr. Octopus in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon as well.
Yes.
So from hero to villain.
Everyone's tragic arc there.
Alfred was also played in the animated version of The Dark Knight Returns by Michael Jackson. And
wait, what?
Yeah, Michael Jackson played him. Not that Michael Jackson. What are you thinking? No. It was
You've ruined my day.
Another actor, a white guy called Michael Jackson, played him. And then
that would have been amazing.
In other ones, then with Sean Pertwee doing him now in Gotham.
Right, I may not like Gotham, but I like him in it.
After the episodes I saw of Gotham, he was the best. It was him and the guy playing the Penguin. They were like the two. Like these guys are bringing it. Everyone else is like, it's what do you call her, Jada Pinkett Smith, just like doing Eartha Kitt for some reason, like really, really hamming it up and been like, I don't know, this show isn't working for me, but these two guys are doing great.
Well, we won't get too into it. We may have brought it up briefly, but my problem with it is they can't pick a tone.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be silly and campy, which is fine. and then it'll be crazy dark the next minute, and then silly and campy again, and the guy flies away on balloons.
I think that was the one, like, when it came out, that was the one we kept talking about, was like,
yeah.
It's like, it seems like it's a Chris Nolan movie, but then a guy gets killed with a balloon, like, by floating away on a balloon, and it's really stupid.
And I like mixtures of tones. I like my Robert Rodriguez movies. They're quite mixed, but it doesn't work like this. I don't know.
Yeah. But Sean Pertwee, though, of the son of John Pertwee, who was Doctor Who at one point. So there's another Doctor Who thing to tie it in, because everyone else in this bloody film's in it. But
we'll have to make a Doctor Who podcast, even though I've only watched about 4 episodes.
But then the other two kind of major ones were Ian Abercrombie, who is Mr. Pitt in Seinfeld, played him in Birds of Prey, the short-lived, I think it was late 90s, early 2000s kind of live action spin-off where it was about like Barbara Gordon. And I remember initially it was Sherilyn Fenn played Harley Quinn in the pilot, and then she was replaced then with Mia Sara, who's the girlfriend from Ferris Bueller.
Oh, okay. That's a strange switch.
Yeah, but it wasn't like Harley Quinn. It was like she was Dr. Quinzel, and she was like a sinister psychiatrist and stuff. They kind of downplayed her. But
well, if you can get Sherilyn Fenn in, though, you keep Sherilyn Fenn in. You don't get her.
Let's look into what happened there. Why she didn't stick with it. But
get that in a Patreon episode. No, we don't have a Patreon. I keep saying that.
But then, and then obviously the other one, who's linked to Ian Abercrombie, is well, kind of tangentially, but Jeremy Irons, obviously, who's the current live action incarnation of Alfred.
Yes.
As we all know, Jeremy Irons, the anagram of Jeremy's iron. That's the only notable thing about him.
The only notable thing.
No, obviously, Jeremy Irons actually, for all the faults of Batman versus Superman, Ben Affleck and Jeremy Irons are a great Batman, and they're a great Alfred. So
yeah, he is very good at it. It's interesting he can do movies like from the broad range of roles he takes on. Because I mean, I just watched for the first time. I believe I told you I watched Inland Empire.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm not sure has a lot of crossover with the fans of this show. And he appears in that. He's
Well, that was going to be about that. That's how he's tangentially linked to Ian Abercrombie, because he's also in Inland Empire. So
oh yeah, of course. But everything connected.
Yeah, the two, the world of two Alfreds collided within that film. But yeah, I think Jeremy Irons in Batman versus Superman he's great. And there's one scene in that film that I was like, I like that. Was that Bruce Wayne gets him like is it a cup of tea, or he gives him something, because usually, as we'll see in subsequent minutes, Alfred's literally running around after Bruce Wayne, like cleaning up everything after him.
Yeah.
But this version, it was like, Batman vs Superman, Alfred can come in, he can give him a little bit of snark, because that's what Alfred's like. And then I believe at one point, Bruce Wayne comes over with a cup of coffee or something, and he just hands it to him, and Alfred's like, oh, thank you. And it's just like, oh, there you go. They're like, it's not just his, it's complete servant. It's like, no, they're friends as well. Like, it's, he's got respect back for him and all this kind of thing, so.
That's quite nice to see.
Yeah, that was one of the high points of that film. It's like, oh, I like that. I like that scene. That's cool for me. But that's all I've got anyway for this minute. So
yeah, I'm done. I'm good to roll. We can get. I was going to say we can get on to the next minute, but no, that's tomorrow. You need to.
Or is it tomorrow? Or is it tomorrow? Or is it Wednesday? Or
it is. It will have to be Friday.
Oh, there you go.
This is Wednesday. We're revealing that we don't record it on the day it comes out.
People think worlds are falling, minds are blowing, worlds are falling apart.
We're losing followers fast. So yes, join us on Friday to wrap up the week on minute 18 of Batman. So yes, make sure you check us out. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. We're on all of them. Just look up Batminute 89. I can't be bothered today going through it all. Just all Batminute 89. You'll find it. And join the Batminute 89 Listeners Society. And leave us iTunes reviews, because that's supposedly very important, but we have no clue why. I think it's because that's where a lot of people still get their podcasts for some reason. Yes, join us on Friday for minute 18 of Bat Minute 89.
Next time, will a senior staple of the Bat Stable accept crumpled currency, or will he Knox it back where it came from? And will Vicky have the veil lifted on where Gotham's most mysterious millionaire is moored? Find out next time. Same Bat Pod.
Different Bat Minute.